Domitian was born in Rome on October 24th, in the year 51. His full name was Titus Flavius Domitianus. He was part of the Flavian family. His dad, Vespasian, would later become emperor. This was a time of big changes in the Roman Empire. Domitian's childhood was comfy, but it wasn't super fancy like you might think for a future emperor. His family, even though they were important senators, weren't super rich. This would be different later when Domitian became emperor and liked fancy things. Even though his family were senators, Domitian's early life was uncertain. Nero, the last emperor of the Julio-Claudian family, was losing power. This instability probably made Domitian's early years a bit scary. Domitian grew up in the shadow of his older brother, Titus. Titus was everything Domitian wasn't: charming, popular, and loved by their dad. This really affected Domitian. People said he was quiet, suspicious, and jealous of his brother's popularity. While Titus was out being a soldier and hero, Domitian stayed home. He got a good education and he was great at literature and philosophy. But he didn't have any experience as a soldier, which was very important in Roman times. This difference in how they grew up showed when they became emperors. Titus, the well-loved emperor, ruled for only 2 years, but they were good years. Domitian, however, became known for being bossy and paranoid. When Vespasian died in the year 79, his eldest son Titus ascended to the throne and became emperor. Titus was well regarded and had already proven himself as a capable leader, especially during the siege of Jerusalem. During Titus's rule, nobody thought Domitian, his younger brother, would play any significant role in the empire. Domitian was often overshadowed by his father and brother, both of whom were celebrated for their military and administrative skills. Domitian was given minor roles and responsibilities, but he wasn't entrusted with any real power or influence. He was often seen as the less capable sibling, which only fueled his jealousy and ambition. This lack of recognition made Domitian even more determined to prove himself. He harbored deep ambitions and a desire to surpass his brother and father, but something unexpected happened that would change the course of his life. In the year 81, after only 2 years as emperor, Titus died suddenly under mysterious circumstances. His death shocked the empire and left a power vacuum. Some people speculated that Domitian might have been involved in his brother's untimely death, possibly through poisoning, although there was no concrete evidence to support these claims. Whether it was planned or not, Domitian found himself as the only surviving son of Vespasian. This unexpected turn of events placed him in a position of immense power. The Praetorian Guard, the elite soldiers tasked with protecting the emperor, quickly moved to secure Domitian's position. They declared him the new emperor, ensuring a smooth transition of power. Titus's sudden death gave Domitian the opportunity he had always longed for. He now had the chance to wield the power and authority he believed he deserved. Domitian was determined to be as great an emperor as his father and brother. He wanted to leave a lasting legacy and prove his worth to the Roman people. He decided to rule with an iron fist, believing that a strong and authoritative approach was necessary to maintain order and stability in the empire. For better or worse, Domitian's reign would be marked by his uncompromising leadership style. Domitian became more and more controlling as emperor. He thought everyone was his enemy, even if they weren't. He didn't trust the Senate. He thought they were plotting against him, so he got rid of anyone who disagreed with him and took more power for himself. Domitian wanted everyone to think he was amazing. He called himself Lord and God and wanted everyone to obey him completely. The important Romans didn't like this. Domitian's paranoia and meanness made a lot of people dislike him, but he was also good at running the empire. He made the Roman laws better, made the money more stable, and built lots of new things in Rome. Domitian was a good military leader. He was known for his strategic mind and his ability to inspire his troops. His leadership was crucial in many of Rome's military campaigns. He knew it was important to protect the empire's borders. Domitian understood that a strong defense was essential for the stability and security of the empire. He invested heavily in fortifications and border patrols to keep invaders at bay. He started wars to make the empire bigger and stop rebellions. Domitian believed that expanding the empire's territory would not only bring wealth and resources but also deter potential threats. His aggressive military campaigns were aimed at both conquest and maintaining internal order. His most famous military wins were in Britain and Dacia. These victories were celebrated throughout the empire and solidified his reputation as a formidable leader. In Britain, Domitian's general Agricola pushed the Roman army north into Caledonia, which is now Scotland. Agricola's campaigns were marked by a series of decisive battles and strategic fortifications. Agricola didn't conquer all of Caledonia, but he did make sure most of Britain was under Roman control. His efforts laid the groundwork for future Roman influence in the region. In Dacia, Domitian fought against King Decebalus. The Dacian campaigns were some of the most challenging of Domitian's reign. The Dacians were very strong warriors and a big threat to the Romans in the Balkans. Their knowledge of the rugged terrain and their fierce resistance made them formidable opponents. Domitian's wars against Decebalus were expensive and didn't have a clear winner. The prolonged conflict drained the empire's resources and tested the limits of Roman military endurance. In the end, he had to make peace with Decebalus and make him a client king. This compromise allowed Rome to maintain a degree of control over Dacia while avoiding further costly conflicts. Domitian's military campaigns, though not always successful, demonstrated his commitment to expanding and securing the Roman Empire. Domitian loved to build. He wanted to make Rome beautiful again after the big fire in the year 64. He started a huge building project that changed the city. Some of his most famous projects were finishing the Colosseum, building the Arch of Titus to remember his brother's victory, and building his own fancy palace. These buildings weren't just useful, they also showed everyone how rich and powerful Domitian was. Not everyone liked Domitian's building projects. Some people thought he was wasting money, but they definitely made Rome look amazing and are still important today. As Domitian got older, he became even more paranoid. He thought everyone was against him, even his friends. He started to arrest, exile, and execute anyone he thought wasn't loyal. The Senate was especially targeted. He thought they were trying to take his power, so he tried to take away theirs. He used an old law about treason to get rid of his enemies. This made everyone in Rome scared and suspicious of each other. Domitian's reign of terror made people hate him, and this eventually led to his downfall. His own advisors, scared for their lives, started to plot against him. Domitian's end came quickly. On September 18th in the year 96, he was killed in the palace. The killers were his own advisors, including his head guard and even some of his family. They attacked him when he was alone in his room. They stabbed him many times and he died quickly. When the Senate heard the news, they immediately said he was a bad guy. They destroyed his statues. Domitian's death was the end of the Flavian family's rule. It started a new chapter in Roman history. The Senate, wanting to forget about Domitian, chose Nerva, an old and respected senator, to be the new emperor. It's hard to say if Domitian was good or bad. His reign was marked by a series of contradictions that make it difficult to categorize him simply as a villain or a hero. He was a ruler of opposites, a mean tyrant and a good leader, a paranoid, scary guy, and a great builder. Domitian's personality was complex, and his actions reflected this duality. He could be ruthless and unforgiving, yet he also had a vision for Rome that included significant improvements and advancements. He definitely changed the Roman Empire. Under his rule, the empire saw both prosperity and fear. His policies and projects left a lasting impact on the infrastructure and administration of Rome. On the one hand, Domitian was mean and paranoid, and people didn't like that. He scared everyone. His reign was characterized by a climate of fear and suspicion, with many of his political opponents and perceived enemies meeting grim fates. The emperors after him tried to be very different from him. They sought to distance themselves from his tyrannical methods and restore a sense of stability and trust within the empire. On the other hand, Domitian was good at running the government. He was an efficient administrator who implemented reforms that strengthened the empire's governance. He made the empire richer, improved the laws, and protected its borders. Domitian's economic policies and military strategies contributed to the empire's wealth and security. His buildings made Rome look amazing. Domitian invested heavily in public works and monumental architecture, leaving behind structures that would stand the test of time. In the end, Domitian was both good and bad. His legacy is a mix of achievements and atrocities, making him one of the most controversial figures in Roman history. He was a complicated person who did good and bad things for Rome. His reign serves as a reminder of the complexities of power and the dual nature of leadership. His rule shows us that even the most powerful people can be changed by too much power. Domitian's story is a cautionary tale about the corrupting influence of absolute authority and the fine line between effective leadership and tyranny.